He woke up with a deep breath like he had been underwater for a long time. His body felt heavy, his head spinning. He opened his eyes slowly. The ceiling above was not from Earth. It was made of metal with blinking lights, wires, and strange symbols. Cold air touched his skin. He tried to move his arms but felt weak. His memory was a blur. He didn't know where he was or how he got there. He sat up slowly. Around him was a quiet, strange room, empty, lifeless, and filled with silence. The floor was metal. The walls looked like they belonged to a spaceship. He looked at his clothes. They were not his. A simple gray suit, soft but tight. His name wasn't written anywhere. Even his reflection in a nearby screen looked tired and older than he remembered. Then he saw her. She was sitting in the corner of the room, knees close to her chest, watching him with wide, golden eyes. Her skin was smooth and light purple, and her long hair was silver white falling down her back like soft threads. She was young, maybe 19 in human years, but not human. She was something else, something alien. She didn't move, didn't speak, just looked at him like he was something sacred, something powerful. She wore simple clothes, torn and thin, with a strange metal collar around her neck. It had small blinking lights and alien writing. A chain was connected to it, but it was broken. He blinked, confused. "Who are you?" She didn't answer, but her eyes changed, from fear to hope. Then she spoke one word, just one. "Master." The sound was soft. Her voice was shaky, but clear. He froze. What did she mean? Master? He stood up and looked around again. No other signs of life. No windows. Just machines, a blinking console, and the silent girl. He stepped closer. She lowered her head, not looking him in the eye. She placed both hands on the floor and bowed, like she had done it many times before, like it was normal. He didn't know what to say. His heart felt strange, tight. This wasn't right. He didn't ask for this. He didn't want this. "What's going on?" he whispered. "Where am I?" The girl said nothing. She simply reached behind her and pulled out a small water bottle and a soft packet of food. She placed them near his feet, still bowing. "For you," she said softly. "Your reward." "Reward? What reward?" He stepped back, shaking his head. He wasn't some king or leader. He didn't deserve a reward, and especially not a living one. He tried to remember. Anything. But his mind was still foggy. He picked up the water and sipped it slowly. It was fresh, clean. The food was strange, but tasted okay. The girl looked at him the whole time, like waiting for a command. "You don't have to do that," he said, but she just nodded. "You saved me," she said, "so now I serve." He didn't understand. He hadn't saved anyone. He was the one who needed saving. But she seemed sure of her words. He watched her closer. Her body was thin, maybe underfed. Her hands had small scars. Her feet were bare and bruised. She had been through something terrible. He could feel it. Even though she didn't speak much, her eyes told the truth. She had been someone's property, and now she thought she belonged to him. He didn't know why, but he felt angry. Not at her, but at whoever did this to her, whoever made her believe this was normal. This girl didn't need a master, she needed care, freedom, safety, but he couldn't offer any of those things. He didn't even know his own name. Still, he sat beside her. "You don't have to call me master," he said. She looked confused. "But I was given. I am your prize." He shook his head. "I don't want a prize." She looked down again, silent. Maybe she didn't know how to be anything else. He sighed. This wasn't going to be easy. Then a thought hit him. Why was she here? Who gave her to him? And more important, where was everyone else? Something bigger was happening. He could feel it. He wasn't just on a broken ship in deep space with a strange alien girl. He was part of something he didn't understand yet. And the girl? She was only the beginning. The silence outside was not peaceful. It was dangerous. The man walked through, narrow metal halls, his footsteps echoing on the cold floor. The ship was old, broken. Lights flickered like they were gasping for life. Every door he passed had scratches, dents, and burns. Some were sealed shut. Some were open to darkness. It felt like something bad had happened here. Very bad. The girl followed him closely. She didn't speak, didn't complain. She moved like a shadow, light and quiet, always 2 steps behind. When he turned, she stopped. When he looked at her, she bowed. He could see it now. She wasn't just trained. She was broken. In a small control room, he found a shattered screen showing pieces of space. A moon floated outside, cold and lifeless. The ship was stuck in orbit, half dead. No signal, no engine sound, like a ghost in the stars. He touched a console. It sparked. The systems were damaged. He pressed more buttons, trying to learn something, but the language was alien. He didn't understand the words, but he could feel the fear that still lived in this place. The girl stood near the door, eyes down. "What happened here?" he asked softly. She raised her head a little. "Ship was attacked. Long time ago. You were kept safe. In chamber." He stared at her. "You knew I was here?" She nodded. "I watched. I was told, protect you. Wake you when time was right." He didn't know what to say. Protect him? Who told her that? And why him? He found a small logbook. Its screen was cracked but still working. He tapped it. A video started, blurry and strange. It showed another alien, taller, with sharp eyes and a deep voice. He spoke in their language. Then he said one word in English. "Human." The girl stepped closer. "They created this ship. For you." His throat tightened. "Why?" "I don't know," she whispered. "They said you were special, strong, important." He didn't feel strong. Or special. He felt lost. He looked at her again. She was trembling now, trying to hide it. Her feet were bleeding. Still, she stood without complaint. He opened a supply box nearby. Inside were some bandages and soft cloth. He took her hand gently and sat her down. She froze, shocked. "You're hurt," he said. "I will heal," she said quickly. "That's not the point." She looked at him again, her eyes full of confusion. He wrapped her foot carefully. She watched him like it was magic. "No one ever did this before," she said. "Not for me." He nodded. "Well, someone should have." Her lips trembled. A small sound escaped her throat, half a laugh, half a sob. She quickly covered her mouth. Maybe it was the first time she ever felt safe. They stayed like that for a moment, quiet, close. He spoke again. "What's your name?" She shook her head. "I don't have one. Slaves don't get names." He felt something heavy inside. How could someone be born, live, and never be called anything? He pointed at her gently. "Then I'll give you one. Would you like that?" She looked up slowly, her eyes wide. "Yes." He thought for a second. "Leary," he said. "It means freedom, in an old Earth language." She smiled. Not a big smile, but real. "I'm Leary," she whispered, like it was her first breath. He smiled back. "And I don't know. I don't remember my name yet." "Then I will wait," she said, "until you do." He stood and looked around again. The ship was dying, but maybe they weren't. He had no memory, no plan. She had no home, no voice. But now they had each other. Outside the window, stars passed slowly. Far away, a danger waited. But for now, the ship was calm. The girl with no name had one now. And the man with no past had found something unexpected. Someone who saw him not as a master but as a reason to keep going. Every day felt like a puzzle with missing pieces. The man, still without a name, searched the ship for answers. Leary followed him, always quiet but alert. She had started to smile more, but only a little. Her steps were lighter now, though her past still weighed on her. The ship was not big, but it held many secrets. Most doors were locked or broken. But one morning, the man found a room he had not noticed before. Its door was hidden behind loose wires and fallen panels. When he pushed it open, the air inside was dry and cold. The room was full of old machines and storage crates. At the far end, there was a glowing console. It was still active. Its screen showed strange symbols that shifted and moved. The man touched the panel. The screen blinked, and then showed something shocking. His face. Not as he looked now, but younger, cleaner, wearing a strange black uniform. Around him were other humans in the background, but their faces were crossed out, with red lines. Only his face was left untouched. Below the image, a single word was written in English: Survivor. He stepped back. His heart pounded. What did that mean? Why only him? Leary stepped beside him, her eyes wide. You were chosen, she whispered. I didn't know how much. They told me to serve you, to wake you, but I didn't know, and you were the last. The last what? She looked down. The last human. He felt cold. That couldn't be true. Earth was full of humans. Families. Cities' life, but Leary only nodded. Your world, it burned. Many cycles ago. I heard them say, human war is too dangerous, so they stopped it. He felt sick. Stopped it how? They erased it. The screen changed again. A new file opened. A recording. A deep voice, calm and cold, spoke in a language the man didn't understand. Leary listened, then translated slowly. They say, you were captured. Frozen. Kept asleep. You had a special mind. They wanted to study it, use it. For what? She looked scared. To make copies. His knees felt weak. He sat down. The ship, the pain, the missing memories. It was all part of something bigger. They didn't just save him. They had taken him like a weapon or a tool. He pressed another button. The screen now showed Leary's face, a profile file, her species, her measurements, her purpose. She read it too, and her face turned pale. They bred me for you. He looked at her. What? I wasn't born free. I was made. To please. To follow. To be soft and sweet. And loyal. His fists clenched. That's not what you are. You're not some toy. But that's what I was built for, she said, her voice shaking. Not anymore. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. Then what am I now? He didn't answer right away. He didn't know how, but he reached for her hand. You are free. You're Leary. Her fingers shook in his, but she held on. They sat together, in the dark room, surrounded by files that told them who they were supposed to be. But neither of them wanted that future. The past had been stolen from them. But the future? That could be theirs to build. Suddenly, a red light flashed on the way. Console. A warning. A signal. Another ship had picked up their location. The man stared at it. Are they coming? Leary nodded. Yes. The ones who built this. They know you're awake. How long do we have? She looked at the countdown on the screen. Not long. He stood up. Then we fix this ship. We run. Or we fight. Leary stood with him. I will stay with you. He nodded. Not because you have to. No, she said. Because I want to. Something had changed between them. Not just trust, but something deeper. They were no longer lost pieces. They were becoming whole. Together. But danger was coming fast. And whatever was on that ship, it wasn't coming to help. The man had dreams now. Not soft, not peaceful, but sharp and loud. Explosions. screams, his hands holding strange weapons, fire in the sky, and always a voice calling him a name he couldn't remember. When he woke, his heart would race, his skin cold with sweat, but the images stayed even in daylight. They didn't feel like dreams, they felt like memories, but they weren't his. At least, he didn't think they were. Leary watched him closely. She had started to learn more words in English. Each day she tried to help. She brought him food. She helped fix wires. She stayed silent when he stared at the wall, trying to understand who or what he really was. One day, while working on a broken console, he found something hidden behind the wall. It was a small crystal drive glowing faintly. He plugged it into the main system. It opened a file locked deep in the ship's memory. The screen showed lines of data, human brain scans, body experiments, notes written in strange code, but some words stood out in English. Subject 117, combat tested, memory enhanced, emotion reduced. He read it aloud, then looked at Leary. They didn't just freeze me. They changed me. She looked scared. They played with your mind, took pieces out, put things in. He touched his head, suddenly dizzy. No wonder the dreams felt real. They weren't just dreams. They were fragments, pasted into his mind, maybe to train him, maybe to control him. He stared at the screen again. It showed battlefields, real or fake, he didn't know. He saw himself fighting aliens, saving children, destroying bases. In one video, he was smiling while explosions happened behind him. He wasn't sure what scared him more, that he had done those things nor that he had enjoyed it. I was made to fight, he whispered. Yes, Leary said, but you chose not to. When you saw me. He looked at her. She was sitting with her legs folded, eyes soft, her face calm, but her voice strong. They told me you were dangerous, she said, but you gave me food. You gave me a name. You touched my hand like I mattered. He stood up. They tried to erase my heart. But they failed, she said quietly. Later that day, the ship's warning lights turned yellow. The enemy ship was closer now. It had changed direction, now coming straight for them. The man checked the weapon system. Only 2 cannons worked. Shields were weak, engines damaged. They couldn't outrun it, not without fixing more systems. We have to prepare, he said. Leary looked down. If they take you, they will kill me. No, he said. I won't let that happen. But what if they control you again? What if they press the right button in your mind and turn you into that weapon? He paused. She had a point. He didn't even know what triggers were left in his brain. One sound, one word, and he could become a killer again. Then we stop them before they try. She looked up at him. Together? Together. That night, he didn't sleep. He walked through the ship, touching walls, feeling the cold metal. It had become a cage, but also a home. Not because it was safe, but because Leary was here. He passed the mirror again, looked at himself, strong arms, sharp eyes, a body made for war. But deep inside, something else had grown. A quiet fire, not for violence, but for protection. He wasn't sure who he used to be, but he was starting to understand who he wanted to be, and he was ready to fight. Not because someone programmed him to do it, but because now he had something to protect. The ship no longer felt silent. Even though it was quiet, the air had changed. Something was coming, something that wanted to take everything away. The man stood at the broken window of the control room watching the radar. A red dot blinked, closer with every passing second. Leary stood beside him, her small hand gripping the edge of the panel. That's them, she whispered. The ones who made the ship. The ones who made me. And the ones who tried to make me something I'm not, he said, his voice low. The radar beeped again. The enemy ship had changed direction, now heading straight toward them. No doubt, no mistake. They had been found. He turned to the weapons. System. 2 forward cannons. Weak shields. Engine still half dead. No backup, no army. Just one man and one alien girl with no reason to win, except freedom. Leary stepped closer. If they come, they won't talk. They will take. They will erase. I won't let them, he said. But you can't stop them alone. He looked at her. I'm not alone. That small sentence changed her face. She nodded, a soft light in her eyes. They ran to the lower decks. Power systems were flickering. Parts of the ship were still broken. But Leary had lived here for years. She knew secret corners, old wires, even hidden repair codes. With her help, he brought a second cannon online. The shields flickered higher, a little stronger now, but still far from safe. Then something strange happened. The main console lit up with a new file. One not seen before. A message, not text. A video. It showed a group of aliens, the same kind that built the ship. Cold, tall, with skin like metal. They stood in a circle. One of them looked straight at the camera. If Subject 117 wakes without our command, the voice said, execute recovery. The video showed pictures of weapons, darts, brain codes, a black switch. Then the voice continued, if he resists, end him. The man stared at the screen. They don't want me back, he said. They want me dead. Leary's hand trembled. Then they fear you. He turned to her. They should. He sat down at the command chair and pulled up the control board. The enemy ship would arrive in less than 10 minutes. That's all the time they had. Leary opened a small panel in the wall and pulled out something the man had never seen. A long silver tube with a small spark glowing at one end. I was told to use this, she said. If you ever turned against me, but I never could. He took the tube and turned it over in his hands. It's a kill switch? She nodded. He looked at her gently. You were afraid of me too? Yes, she said. But not anymore. He crushed the tube in his hand, breaking it into sparks. No more chains, he said. When the enemy ship entered view, it looked massive, sleek, sharp, built for capture. Its lights scanned the wrecked ship like a hawk hunting prey. Then a voice echoed through the speakers. Subject 117, return control. You are malfunctioning. He didn't answer. Release the female unit, power down, obey. He smiled grimly. He pressed the red button. The first cannon fired. A beam of light shot into space and hit the enemy ship's outer shield. It glowed, blue, undamaged. But the message had been sent. He would not obey. The enemy ship responded with force. A blast hit the side of the broken ship, shaking everything. Sparks flew, metal groaned. Leary fell, but the man caught her hand and pulled her. Up, go to the core, he shouted. Start the overload plan. She ran fast and sure. The man stayed at the weapons panel. He fired again and again. The second cannon was heating up. If it burned out, they'd be defenseless. Then a lucky shot. He struck one of the enemy ships' sensor towers. It sparked. Blinded them for a moment. Leary's voice came through the speaker. Core ready. We can escape or destroy, but not both. The man looked at the screen. His face, once used by scientists and soldiers, now belonged to no one. He had a choice, run and hide, or stand and fight. He pressed a new button. Leary, he said, prepare escape pod for 2. We're leaving? She asked. Yes, he said, but we're sending them a gift first. He smiled. The core began to overload. Lights turned red. The countdown began. They had 5 minutes, not much time, but enough to end what was never supposed to begin. The ship shook like it was alive and in pain. Alarms screamed from every wall. The core countdown flashed in red. 5 minutes until overload. Steam hissed from broken pipes. Sparks danced like angry fireflies. But through the chaos, the man stood calm. For the first time, he wasn't confused, he wasn't lost, he wasn't their weapon anymore. He was free. And he was going to make sure they knew it. Leary called out through the speaker. Escape pod is ready. You have less than 4 minutes. But he wasn't finished yet. He stayed at the main panel, aiming the last working cannon. The enemy ship was circling, preparing to dock. They didn't think he'd fight. They thought he would surrender, be easy to take back, but he was never going back. Another warning flashed. Docking arms engaging. The enemy ship was getting closer. He fired again. This time he didn't aim at the sensors. He aimed at the docking claw itself. Direct hit. Metal burst in space. One arm ripped off. The enemy ship shook, pulled sideways by the explosion. It wouldn't stop them, but it bought time. He ran down the hall, passing the room where he first woke up. That moment felt like years ago now. Back then, he didn't even know his name. Now, he knew who he wanted to be. He reached the escape pod chamber. Leary was already inside, her small hands hovering over the launch controls. "You came," she said, breathless. "I said I would." She looked up at him. "Why risk it all?" "Because they tried to take everything. And I won't let them take you." For the first time, Leary didn't look like a servant or a tool. She looked like a partner. Together, they launched. The escape pod burst from the side of the ship, spinning for a moment before stabilizing. Leary pressed commands quickly, guiding them toward a small asteroid field nearby. The man watched through the back screen as the enemy ship adjusted course, chasing them. "Are we too slow?" he asked. "Not if the core explodes on time," she answered. Behind them, the ship, once a prison, once a lab, once their home, grew smaller. Then the screen flashed white. A blast tore through space. Silent, but powerful. The core had gone critical. The man's old ship shattered into pieces. Fire, metal ash, a wave of energy slammed into the enemy ship, breaking its shields, tearing through its side. It didn't disappear, but it stopped moving. The enemy was crippled. The man and Leary sat in silence, breathing hard. "You did it," she said quietly. "No," he replied. "We did it." The pod drifted quietly now away from the fire. No more alarms, no more orders, just the stars and the future. Leary looked at him with something new in her eyes. Not fear, not duty. Hope. "You're not what they made you to be," she said. "And you're not what they told you to be." He reached over and took her hand. For once, neither of them needed words. Freedom had been earned, not given. And though the war was not over, they had won the first fight. Together. The stars were peaceful now. No enemy ships, no alarms, just silence. Real silence. The kind that doesn't scare you, but lets you breathe. The escape pod floated through space, slow and quiet like a seed looking for soil. Inside, the man and Leary sat together watching the stars pass. The warship was gone. The past was ashes. And yet something new had begun. A signal blinked on the screen. A planet. Small, green, and full of oxygen. Not a big colony. Not a known base. Just a quiet world with trees, rivers, and a chance. Leary smiled. "We can land there, it's safe." The man looked at her. "Safe sounds good." The pod shook slightly as it entered the planet's atmosphere. Clouds rolled past the window. Below them, forests covered the land like a soft green ocean. Mountains stood in the distance. A river sparkled under the sun. It didn't look like a place made for war. It looked like a place to begin again. They landed gently in a field. The air was warm. The grass moved like it was happy to meet them. Leary stepped out first, touching the ground carefully with her bare feet. She closed her eyes, feeling the wind. No walls, no chains, no collars. He followed, looking around. No memories here, no hidden codes. Just the sound of birds, real ones. He took a deep breath. "I think we're really free." Leary nodded. "It feels strange." "Good strange?" "Yes," she said softly. "Like, I don't have to ask for permission to feel happy. They found a small cave near a river and made it their shelter. Each day they built something. A roof of branches, a fire pit, a place to sleep. Slowly it became a home, not because of the walls, but because of the peace inside. One evening, as the sun set in orange and gold, Leary sat beside him. "I still remember the first time I saw you," she said. "I thought I belonged to you." He looked at her. "And now?" She smiled. "Now I know I belong to myself." He reached over and brushed her hair behind her ear. "You always did." She leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. "What about you? Do you remember your name yet?" He shook his head. "No, but maybe I don't need the old one. What will you be now?" He thought for a while, then said, "Someone who protects, someone who chooses kindness." She nodded. "That's who you already are." Weeks passed, then months. Their old life faded like a bad dream. Leary grew stronger. She laughed more. Her voice no longer shook. She picked flowers, danced in the rain, and built a garden. The man learned too. He hunted, built tools, and wrote in a small book, trying to create new memories. Ones no one could steal or change. One day, while watching the stars, Leary spoke. "Do you think they'll come again?" "They might," he said, "but we'll be ready." "And if they take you?" "They won't," he said, "because I'm not alone." She reached out, touching his hand. "No," she said, "you're not. The world they built was not perfect, but it was theirs, and no one could take that away." The man, once a forgotten subject, and the girl, once a silent slave, had found something greater than freedom. They had found each other, and in each other they had finally found home. End of story.